it's my pleasure to introduce our host, the Ambassador Djalal from Indonesia. He's been the ambassador of Indonesia since 2010 and has been so nice since he's been ambassador to host us several times here. Previously, he held the position of Special Staff for International Affairs and Presidential Spokesperson, making the ambassador the longest-serving presidential spokesperson in Indonesia's modern history. That must be quite a task. You've got to be adaptive and flexible to do that. He's a youth advocate, an academic, and the author of a best-selling book. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our host, Ambassador Dino Djalal.
Thank you very much, Dr. Helen Gale and Congressman Joe Courtney, dear friends, all friends from CARE, and everybody tonight. We're very grateful for you, for your attendance here tonight, and our embassy is very pleased to host this event. And of course, I want to start by saying Happy International Women's Day. I should say that this is more than a passing interest to me, this Women's Day, because my claim to fame is that I come from a very unique tribe in Sumatra. It's called the Minangkabau tribe. And if you look at the Wikipedia, it will tell you that it's one of the rare matriarchal tribes in Asia, in fact, in the world. It is a tribe ruled by women. And it is a tribe, the women own the house, they own the land, the kids take the last name after the woman's name, and it is the woman who, I swear about this, it is the woman who proposed to the men. I'm just very sorry to say that I've never had that pleasure, because my wife never proposed to me and I had to propose to her. She's not from the same tribe. She's from another tribe. So, but interestingly enough, it's also the most democratic society or the most democratic tribe in Indonesia. They conduct themselves with great wisdom. And everything is done by way of consensus and consultations. So even though we had our authoritarian days, that part of society ruled by women remained for centuries and even until now the most democratic part of Indonesia. Now, I think we're holding this event, the CARE event, the International Women's Day celebration, at the right embassy, which is Indonesia. Let me tell you why. And I'm going to tell you a painful truth. Even though Indonesia is a young democracy, we only became a democracy in 1998, yeah? I can say that in some areas we made more progress than the oldest democracy in the world, which is America. Now, before you deport me for saying that, let me tell you why. The reason is, after only 2 years of being in democracy, we've had a female vice president. And after 3 or 4 years being in democracy, we've had a female president. And now we have a law that says 30% of Indonesia's parliament must be women, a law. So, no wonder Secretary Clinton said that if you want to see a country where democracy, Islam, modernity, and women's rights go together harmoniously, go to Indonesia. And she did. You know, in Indonesia, despite our problems, women's rights has come to us rather naturally. In our home, children are taught that heaven lies in the mother's feet, right? So this is why Indonesian children kiss their mother's feet, because that's where heaven lies. You know, my wife tried to convince me that it also applies to wives, but I think it's only for mothers for the time being. And in schools, children learn that some of our most fearsome warriors are also women, and that men and women fought for freedom and justice during our independence war. And there's also, when we gained our independence in 1945, we immediately instituted universal suffrage, the right to vote for everybody, men and women alike. And when we became a democracy in 1999, this is quite interesting. You know what held our democracy up? Voting turnout was 90%. Voting turnout. 57% of that were women. Which means women really were very passionate in exercising their democratic rights in Indonesia. And there's one important lesson that we've had as a democracy in the last 12 years. And that lesson is this. In Indonesia, we do not have to choose between democracy and development. Now, I have to tell you why this is important, because when I was studying in the 70s, in the 80s, there was this debate in Asia that you got to choose between democracy or development. You can't have both. You either have democracy and low economic growth, or you have high economic growth, as we did achieve, but less democracy. You can't have both, they said. And what we proved in the last 12 years is wrong. You can have very strong democratic growth, and at the same time you have strong economic growth. Our growth now is about 6.5% in the midst of the global financial crisis. It's very high. It's the third highest in Asia after China and India. But the more important lesson is not only that we don't need to choose between democracy and development and that we can have both. The more important lesson is that we cannot have democracy and development together unless women are part of that, right? Yeah. And the same thing goes for peace. It's not just women being the pillar of democracy and development, but also for peace. There can be no peace in Indonesia or any place in the world where women are marginalized, abused, oppressed, and violated. Women, I tell you this, hold the key to the fight against radicalism, extremism, and terrorism. Why do I say that? Empirical studies have shown in a family where you have a father, a male figure, who is prone to terrorism and violence, and a woman who is moderate and tolerant, the child would go to the mother's way. The child would go to the mother's way. So the more women are empowered, the more women become moderate and peace-loving, the more you push away radicalism, extremism, and the more you fight terrorism. That is one thing that we have also learned in Indonesia. In fact, we in Indonesia believe, and this is something that is commonplace in a patriarchal society, we believe that the notion that maternal instinct is a sign of weakness is wrong. You know, in societies, even in Indonesia, they would kick you by saying, hey, you talk like a woman, you think like a woman, you act like a girl, you know, as if having maternal qualities is a sign of weakness. And it is not. Maternal influence is a source of strength and a sign of resilience. And it is also a source of integrity and creativity. And this is what the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Muhammad Yunus, has found out, you know, early on for many, many years, when he found that the more you give microcredit, the more you give just $50 to poor women in poor villages, the more you let them have the tool to take charge of their lives. And he found out through Grameen Bank that 90% of the women who took the money returned the loans and got even more loans. And he found that the more he spread the scheme, that the more women take charge of their lives, the more there will be peace, progress, and stability in society. So this is indeed what we are celebrating today as we mark International Women's Day. But I must say this with a caveat. I've been so nice to women today, but one caveat. They need to pull themselves up as well and maintain that. In Indonesia, I've been quite surprised to find that the most recent series of cases involving corruption in Indonesia involve women, right? Surprisingly. Why? That sort of breaks the myth that corruption is more natural and more rampant among the male politicians and male businesswomen. Apparently, more women are getting involved in corruption as well. So again, we all have our homework to do to pull ourselves up towards a more just and progressive society. So this is why I thank CARE for all the good work that you've done. It's so easy for me to host CARE events because we admire the work of CARE, your humanitarian work. You fight against poverty and women empowerment, gender equality. It's just an inspiring thing for all of us to see. And I really would like to extend my admiration and appreciation for all your good work and goodwill. One of my favorite speeches, I'm a speechwriter for my president, not a good one, but one of the, whenever I look for inspiration, I read this speech by President Lyndon Johnson. I don't know if you know the speech. It's called The Great Society. It's really inspiring speech. And I keep reading it occasionally just to get ideas and inspirations. But in the 21st century, I would like to add a little bit to his definition of a great society. And tonight, as we celebrate the women around the world who are becoming agents of change, pioneers and champions and pillars of their society, I would like to add that a great society is a society or a place where women are respected as equals in society, where women are empowered in their workplace, and where women are protected, cherished, and loved at home. Amen. Thank you.